with the first pick in the 2017 podcast draft. Millions of listeners worldwide select and welcome to I Need a Hobby, a podcast. I'm this week's host, Andrew. And across from me, the only thing scarier about his post-Halloween is that there's no one to his left. Chris.
Hey.
And I'm this week's host, Andrew.
Once again.
That's right, guys. We have no Alex this week.
We're short-staffed, just the two of us today.
Yes. We're really short-staffed. Tried to get my brother on, but he's got a hackathon. So
terrible.
If you want to know what that is, it's where you lock yourself in a room for 50 hours and code or something.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much fun. I would say we could do an episode on it, but
yeah,
I don't want to.
In fact, actually, I haven't told you this, but we're actually after this, we're going to go meet him at the hackathon and just podcast in front of everyone. A little live show that you've always been talking about, Chris.
I think maybe they would like it if they've been like devoid of sleep for 48 hours.
Right,
That's the only time someone would think that this is fun.
These guys are great. But one quick shout out to my brother he is wearing his Support Your Local Podcast shirt that he got from our website, which is
still available.
Yeah, I need a hobbypod.com. Go to the shop tab. We got a sweet shirt. It says Support Your Local Podcast, and it's got our website. So when he presents his hack thing or whatever, I know what it is. It's like a mobile app thing, Yeah. Not like he's not actually hacking. It's just, a stupid joke.
Pretty cool.
Anyway, when he presents it, he's going to be wearing that shirt. So, if you're listening from that somehow, good for you. Welcome to our podcast. We're short-staffed.
Why don't I know it's different than our usual episode, but you want to tell the people what the podcast is all about?
Yeah, right. We already missed all that. So this podcast is about me, Chris, and Alex. We are a few college grads. We work hard during the 9 to 5. We try to make the most of the 5 to 9. And we do a challenge, hobby, or activity every week, and we will tell you guys about it.
And this week, Alex is taking this hobby into his own hands. He's down in North Carolina running a marathon. Yeah. Marathon number 2 for Alex.
Yeah, good for him. So you guys, if you're a longtime listener, you guys have been here for all of Alex's marathons. So that's pretty cool. Pat yourselves on the back. So he just ran a pretty good time. He PR'd, right?
Yeah,
got a better time.
Better than his
Disney time. So I'm sure he'll love to talk about that soon. And we are actually going to call him in.
We're gonna attempt to give him a call. We didn't tell him this beforehand.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's doing. We haven't talked to him since the marathon. I got one Snapchat confirming that he finished the race. We're gonna see if he's available though. We're gonna give him a ring.
Yeah. Sorry about that static. That was me plugging this cord into my phone. We got this sweet DJ mixing
cool
equipment
mixer.
that we've talked about before.
We talk about our cool studio.
So if this works, then we'll really pipe him in. It'll sound just like he's here in the studio besides the phone call. Oh, that is really cool. We can hear the ringing.
Wow.
All right. So hopefully Alex picks up. If not, then we're just gonna ramble for a bit and we will call him later in the show again because that would be really cool if Alex could speak to us now, give us some wise words.
We're lost without him.
Come on, Alex.
It's kind of strange, just the two of us.
I know. Yeah, no guest is tough. We need Alex here. Come on, Alex. Guys, if you really think hard. Oh.
Hi, this is Alex.
Please
leave a message.
Should we leave a message?
The mailbox is full and cannot accept it.
I can't believe this.
Clean out your mailbox, Alex. It's terrible.
All right. Well, there it goes. All right. So if he calls back, I'm actually going to leave this plugged in. So
we'll hear it.
I'll text him and say, call me. So we will hear like an official, like a ringtone that we're actually planning for. So
he might be napping though. I wouldn't be.
Yeah, he might be napping, but if he answers, that would be great. So I'll just real quick text. Or wait, no, call me. Urgent, right? This is pretty urgent.
Yeah.
Not like you just ran a marathon. This is way more important than that.
Throw some exclamation points in there. Really let him know how we're feeling.
Okay, call me. Period. Just to that's just like the blunt part, and then urgent with 10 exclamation points. I think that'll really let him know. Okay, so if we get a phone call, that'll be Alex. We'll pick that up, and we'll be able to talk to him about our podcast, I guess, how we're doing without him.
Yeah, and the thon. I want to hear a little bit about
Yeah, we want to hear about the marathon. One reason we wanted to call Alex now is because all the listeners are clamoring about what happened with the UMass Softball pumpkin.
Yeah, if you didn't listen to our last episode, these guys we did on pumpkin carving. One of the pumpkins they carved was, can you explain the story a little?
Yeah, so it was a pumpkin that said UMass Softball because we have neighbors, like next door neighbors that are on the UMass Softball team. And we had not talked to them all year, so we decided, Alex has texted me. Let's see. Is it actually urgent? I can call, but I'm trying to figure out my flights. Dude, this is about the podcast. Okay.
So trying to become friends with these people. You
Yeah.
made a pumpkin that said UMass Softball.
I'll say call. I'll just tell him call when you can. Like
Yeah.
when you can. 15 min or something. 15 min maybe. Soon. Okay. Yeah. So we basically just looking for a good way to become friendly with our neighbors.
Mhm.
We have our neighbors that we don't talk to ever. They live right next door. We're gonna be there all year. Might as well. Also, they're D1 athletes. That's kind of cool.
That's pretty sick.
Right? I mean, I'm a D1 podcast host, but
Yeah.
that's not as impressive, obviously. And
Oh,
boy,
we got Alex
we're getting
calling.
the call. We're getting the call. All right, let's see if this works. Alex.
Hello?
Hey, Alex,
you're
you are
live.
You're live on I Need
You're
a
live
Hobby.
on the podcast.
What?
Yeah, this is real. Yeah.
Live on the who?
What's going on?
Tell us about your marathon. How'd it
Not
go?
much, just hanging out, you know?
Just hanging out.
Tell us about
What are you guys up to?
how'd the race go.
So we're podcasting right now. We wanted to check in with you to see how the race went, and then we also wanted to I wanted to tell you about the infamous UMass Softball pumpkin. Wanted to fill everyone in on
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Wanted you to be there.
Ooh, this is exciting. All right, I'll give a quick summary of the race.
Okay. Go for it.
So the race was okay.
Okay.
Started out pretty strong. It was 26.2 miles.
Right.
So it was a long
It's a
one.
long race, yeah.
And not bad, not bad. And then at mile 23, there's what I could only compare to Mount Midoriya
We got your Snapchat about
from
that.
American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
I had to go up on my hands and my knees at the
Wow.
same time just to scale this mountain. It
Wow.
was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
That's crazy.
Was it actually like brutal?
The whole course was actually extremely hard. Much 100% harder than Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard from the marathon that I ran when our friend Tim ran Disney with you guys, and he ran the Vermont one with me, and he said that Disney was really easy. So
Yeah.
just to throw that out there.
No hills makes such a difference.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that it was really hilly, this one in North Carolina.
Oh yeah, no, not one step of flat terrain.
How many tries did it take you to get up Mount Midoriyama? Did
Yeah.
you
Did you
crash?
just fall down?
The race dress, Chris, it was 26.2 miles.
Right. Yeah, he remembers.
It only took me like 3 tries to get up. So it
Okay,
wasn't
Okay,
really
that's
that
not
bad.
terrible.
Was it
It was
embarrassing when you were like? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It was all the vats on the bottom of my feet. I kept on sliding
Yeah, that's what I was
down.
gonna say. Is
Yeah.
was it embarrassing when you were slipping like down the hill, like rolling backwards? You know,
Too much fast.
Just
forward.
like-
It was embarrassing.
yeah,
There was one point in the race I passed a medical station, and I very seriously thought about asking for more vats,
It's always a good thing
but
to have.
I didn't do it.
So did you had problems with the the not enough VAS, as we talked about before in the marathon episode,
So, problems with the what?
like not having enough VAS.
The slight problems with the vats, but I got past it.
Okay, good.
That's
We
good.
did run. I passed a few guys with as Chris referred to in the running episode, bullet holes in their shirts right where their nipples are, and it was just.
That's
it was
always a
not
sight
pretty.
to see.
Yep. So that's good. Chris was actually looking up info on it, and so we saw you got a PR. So congrats. And
I got a PR, thank you.
also that it was a small marathon. It looked like, right?
Yeah, it was really small. I mean, we passed someone at one point on the side, and they were like, "Hey, you guys are pretty close to the leader."
Wow.
I was like, "What the heck?
Wow.
This can't be right."
Yeah.
Very
That's
cool.
that's interesting. But good.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's glad it went well. So are you ready to hear this UMass softball story?
I am.
I guess
I am
that's
ready.
one of the last things on your mind. But now you're back in. You're right on the podcast. So here we go. So
No vacations.
okay. So I was just prepping the listeners before you called us. So it was that I had this pumpkin. We wanted to meet our neighbors. They're on the UMass softball team. We decided to make this pumpkin that says UMass softball, just a refresher from the last episode. And we left it. We decided actually to leave it outside the front door. We have like a shared kind of front steps. Like one door goes
Right.
to mine and one door goes to theirs. And we just like left it out on the front steps, seeing if that would do anything. So that was the plan. Okay. And then, then immediately after we did it definitely felt weirder. I know last episode I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it'll be funny, but it's not.
It's creepy. It's a trick. It's a Halloween trick.
Yeah, it's a Halloween trick. We could get away with it, but
felt weird because it was weird.
exactly. So that was definitely a little questionable. So we did that, and then it was not even out there for a day, and we decided that we were having a Halloween party that weekend, so we were going to invite them anyway, regardless of whether or not they had anything to say about the pumpkin, because they're our neighbors, you know.
So do you think they knew it was you?
I have no idea, which I'll get to. Spoiler alert. That's basically it. With the pumpkin, it was like we left it out there, and it's never been spoken of. Yeah.
Did they go to the party?
No, but there's more to that. So they didn't go to the party, but we were gonna go over and talk to them, and then we got cold feet doing that too.
So there's really no story.
So no, there is a story. There's a story. Is that they were watching the World Series actually.
Of softball or baseball?
Of baseball, not the College World Series of softball. That is a spring sport.
Yeah, that's fair.
And as the listeners may know, longtime listeners, we were pretty into the World Series last year with our episode Baseball Stories, talk about the Cubs. Yep. This year we weren't as into it. We didn't mention it much, but you know, I was still watching the World Series, obviously, pretty exciting. And it was the Astros and the Dodgers, and there was one game. Which game was it? Not Game 5. Game 5 was a crazy one. That was it was Game 2, the other crazy one. So Game 5 was 13-12 Astros win, which is like nuts, really, especially in the World Series where pitching is very important, and you know, more important than regular season. But anyway, so it's Game 2, and in this game, the Astros were down 3-1, I think, in the ninth inning, and they hit like a 2-run home run to tie it in the ninth inning, and it's in LA too, so it's a really big game for the Astros if they can pull it out. And I'm watching the TV. I'm watching the game. Like, wow, that's, you know, I'm thinking in my head, that's crazy. And then I just hear screaming, like loud, insane screaming from next door. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're, you know, makes sense. Softball team, they're baseball fans, right? Yeah. So I figured, you know, I'd go say hi.
Wait, can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
Are they screaming because they just saw the UMass softball pumpkin and they're terrified?
I didn't confirm that with them, but it seems pretty likely. But no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. So it was actually a kind of funny thing about that is that I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I go knock on the door and say, hey, you guys watching the World Series? Like, I heard screaming. And the funny thing is that they thought I was like concerned, like, oh, I heard screaming, is everything okay? So they thought I was like being a nice guy or something, when really I knew what was going on. I know we're both baseball fans, like I'm just trying to say hi. But anyway, so that was like a good start, and then we started talking about the World Series. They were clearly very like into it, because I guess, so they're like, you know, it's UMass softball, but if you're like a D1 athlete at a school, you can kind of get recruited from elsewhere. So one of them was actually from Houston, and another one was from LA, so that's kind of crazy.
Wow, intense.
Yeah, so they were, you know, rooting against each other and for their team. So that's why I guess it got kind of rowdy. But so then we just, you know, hung out and watched the end of the game. The Astros pulled it out, which was good. I was rooting for the Astros to win, so that was exciting. And then I immediately was like, I need to get rid of this pumpkin. This is a terrible idea. They might not have seen it yet. It's only been out there for half an afternoon. And then we just said, you know what, who cares? We left the pumpkin out. And then a couple days later, we invited them to the party. They were like, that sounds fun. Didn't show up. Party was fun, so their loss. And that's really it. That's it.
So
what do you guys think?
So really no resolution.
UMass softball player?
Say that again, Alex.
Did you dress up as a UMass softball player?
I know. I was dying to show them. I just kept peeking, like, you know, hoping that they would just see me.
You took their jersey when you went in to go check on them, right?
Yeah. No, but, you know, that's it. The pumpkin's still there. It's not doing well. By the way, Alex, our pumpkins are... my face, whatever, my helmet, and the 9 to 5 pumpkin, they are not doing well. They're decomposing. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta throw those things out.
That is something that we didn't have time to talk about in pumpkin carving because it was too what's the word? It was too soon after the carving, but the cleanup is no fun.
Yeah, I tossed mine in the trash yesterday. It's gross.
Yeah, no, it's not good. So maybe we'll have to deal with that.
Yeah.
The UMass softball pumpkin was a gift, so really it should be their problem, but I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so that's it.
Guess we'll let you go, Alex. Let you figure out your flight.
All right. Well, thanks for the update, and please never call this number again.
Okay. See ya.
All right. Well,
guys.
Glad we could get him on the pod, but you know, we have a different topic that we want to talk about this week. Something that we knew Alex would really have no interest in.
Yeah.
Which is most
like
things.
Actually.
Usually we just have to really focus on the things Alex likes. You know,
yeah, he's very picky about what kind of episodes we do.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got to kind of run with it this week.
Yeah.
And,
run like a run or a pass play.
Yeah, we got some rushing yards on this one.
We got some rushing yards.
So fantasy football, fantasy sports.
Fantasy sports.
Yeah, fantasy sports.
Fantasy sports. Not much of a, maybe not a pastime, but it's something that is very prevalent in, you know, this kind of mostly the fall, like fantasy football especially.
Yeah, I'd say football is probably the biggest one.
And I guess like a lot of people might be like, oh, well, I will never play that, but it is like, I mentioned this when I was talking about my Survivor pool that I was in. I'm still in, by the way. Go LA Rams today if this has already come out. So hopefully the LA Rams won, and I'm still in the running for my Bitcoins. Anyway, but it's like an office thing. You're in an office league, right, Chris?
Yeah. I think fantasy sports, one, bring people together. It's kind of like a fun competitive thing. Two, I don't think you need to know a ton about sports. It definitely helps.
You need to know not a lot about sports, but you need to try to be good.
Yeah, in order to do well, like
later.
you do need to put some time into it.
Yeah.
But like I've seen in this league, at least that I'm in, that it's like it's a big mix of people, like people who know varying amounts about sports, and like it's a lot of luck, but also a lot of there's some strategy behind it, I guess.
Yeah.
Which we can kind of talk through. And I also think it's just like a big part of sports as a whole. It's hard to be a sports fan and not at least have some sort of interest in fantasy sports. Like when you're watching SportsCenter, I'll usually throw on the TV on a Sunday morning, see what the games are like. Half the talk's about fantasy football.
Yeah, that is annoying.
Which is very
That's
weird
issue.
to me. Yeah.
Like we talked about how ESPN is kind of like turning into
a dying art.
Yeah, they are. But it's too much. It's too much. It's good and it's bad, I think. But I think it's too much. There's too much fantasy mainstream talk on the media. But whatever, we don't have to get into
Go
that.
back to ESPN real quick though. Do you think? How like MTV kind of everyone's like done with it. Like, they don't show music videos, that kind of thing.
True.
When does ESPN fully embrace that?
That's a good point.
Because I know they had some sort of sitcom with like Jalen Rose. I don't know if they did like more than one episode, but I remember watching it and being like, this is ridiculous.
What was the idea?
It was just like Jalen Rose is like a dad and
It was on ESPN?
Yeah, you should look into it. It's very
strange.
funny. But it's like, when are they going to have like, the Challenge NFL version, like some sort of MTV show.
That's true.
I'm sure it's gonna happen one day.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but I think my start with fantasy sports.
Yeah, we should get into our starts.
Well, I remember I started, my very, very beginning was Sports Illustrated for Kids. If you remember that magazine.
Of course, I got it too. Yeah.
There was a website which I frequented. Play some of the games. They had a fantasy league, but it was kind of like, it wasn't like a draft. It was like you had a set amount of money and you could pick your players. So it was like, maybe you had like $1 million and it was like $100K for Aaron Rodgers. Well, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers at the time. And you had to like, it's I guess kind of like DraftKings. Like,
but
like that.
It was an all season thing, you're saying?
Yeah. So
that's just called the auction draft.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like that. And that was like my first time doing any sort of fantasy sport.
Wait, were you playing against people?
Yeah, but it was like just like random leagues, because I was like 10.
You were a kid, yeah.
And I remember it was the kind of thing where they give you like pre-chosen phrases you could say, like you could chat with people, which I would sometimes, like, and then it would just be like, "Go Pats!"
Classic.
Yeah. So that was fun, and then from there I did a couple like real draft leagues, and then going into high school, I remember we did some teams.
That was fun. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. Now I took a little hiatus. I didn't play the last few years, but I'm back in it this season.
And you like it?
I like it. I like it enough.
Okay.
I'll save my hard opinions. But
the interesting thing about fantasy football is like it's really easy to play, or fantasy sports in general. But fantasy football is the easiest to play. Let's be honest. My dad is in like a fantasy baseball league, and I just can't imagine it's
a lot of work.
Like it is a lot of work. You got to worry about starting pitchers. You got to worry about which teams are playing which days. At least in football, you got the consistent Sunday.
Yeah, that's
games.
what I like. Is like football is once a week.
It's like, just like okay, if someone's playing Thursday, make sure you set them. Some people play Monday night. That's fine. That's it. You know, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not a huge commitment. Maybe to be the best team in the league, you have to put in some time.
Yeah,
I will say I don't put in that much time, but I get by. But it's really just making sure you set.
Well, that's the big thing. Is like if you're in any kind of league, especially like as an adult, we're kind of at this point where like in any league that we're in, someone's going to be really good. You know what I mean? There's not going to be like the classic whatever. It's like the taco is what it's called based on that show, The League, actually. But the taco of a league is just like this character in the show, The League, and he doesn't know what's going on at all. But anyway, you're not going to have like an entire league full of tacos because how would the league even get started?
Yeah, I will say, I don't know if any listeners watch the league, but it's kind of like, this fantasy league, and there's a lot of trash talk and a lot of they're really into it. I feel like every fantasy league I've been in has tried to do that, but realized how much work it is to because in the show they'll film videos of them talking trash and write up all these things, and we're always yeah, we're gonna do that, and then no, that's too much work.
I'd say I'm actually in a very competitive fantasy league
which sounds pretty fun.
It kind of does stuff like that, which I'll touch on later. But to get to my start, I have a pretty good start. It was actually my dad is this was
he's an avid fantasy.
Yeah, I used to brag
player.
about this as a kid. It was my dad was in a fantasy football league in the late 1980s, which is no joke. Before before it was even hosted on websites and stuff. Like
You had
it's
to
like
do it all on your
one of
own.
the first like I don't even know how he got into this, but like because he wasn't like commissioner or anything, but like it was not a mainstream thing at all. No one even heard of it basically, and he's been in like the same league for 30 years now. And so growing up, I would always be interested because my dad had this team, and I would be, I really liked math and stats. I liked, stuff like that. I liked football a lot. So it was really like very perfect for me.
And I remember growing up in when I'd go to your house when we were in high school and stuff,
Yeah.
he always had the big draft board. Like,
Yeah,
he would,
that was cool.
That was really cool. So it'd have like all the play. I mean, and now it's all online, but like he would have a big thing that showed who picked who.
Yeah, and that was
cool
like
to
really
watch.
fun to look at.
Yeah.
Especially back then when I feel like we were a little more naive and just like, oh wow, like I love this player. He's on the Pats.
It's like, look at all these colors.
Yeah, it was like that too,
Yeah.
based on position. So I always wanted to play, and then in 7th grade, I got my big break where they decided fantasy football club, join if you want to.
Oh, in your
be
middle
on a
school?
team in my middle school.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
fun.
it ended up being like a lot of people that I knew pretty well, just because the football fans were just like there wasn't like a whole lot of people who were.
You guys were the jocks.
Yeah, no, I wish, but there weren't a whole lot of.
dream of being a jock.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a jock. There weren't a whole lot of people at that age who were really into football,
Yeah,
and there
that makes
was I forget. I think we ended up having probably a 10-team league, which is standard. Like 10 and 12 are like the most standard. Personally, I think 12 is the best because it 10-team leagues kind of the talent is. It's very like top heavy. Like there's enough good players for every team to be really good.
Yeah.
And then more luck is involved. You know what I mean? It's just like
Andrew
who
Luck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not this season, but in
that's
regular
true.
years. Yeah.
Most teams will have Andrew Luck in a 10-team league.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
everyone.
well, I mean, all things considered, 9 teams don't have Andrew Luck in a 10-team league, but
Yeah.
11 teams don't have him in a
Okay.
12-team
Yeah,
league. So what I'm saying is
it's
that
a very luck forward driven league.
yeah,
in the
exactly.
Patriots,
And the smaller your league, the more likely it's like luck based.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You have
So-
a 1 in 10 chance versus the 1 in
Right.
12.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
So
makes sense.
in a 12-team league, the talent is spread out better because there's 2 extra teams, kind of. So you have to really be kind of like scouting, realistically, of like trying to find this dark horse player who will do well, which I think is a lot of fun. But anyway, in 7th grade, we joined this league. Any noteworthy people you would know, Chris, is our friend Julian. I think he's a listener of the show. I almost said sometimes, but I know he does listen pretty frequently. And so he was in the league with me and a couple other people that we knew. And like I remember, I guess only like maybe the fantasy, hardcore fantasy people will get this joke. But one kid, you would get this joke, picked the Bears defense as the second overall pick, which is like insane if you know
crazy.
anything about fantasy
Yeah.
football. Picking a defense as like
not a great
the first pick, but back then the Bears were like so good, and it's actually really funny for all the real football fans. That was Devin Hester's breakout year.
Yeah, where he
he's like
had
their
all the
return man.
returns,
Yeah, and he had
reductions.
like no joke, like I mean, probably wasn't worth the second overall pick, but the Bears defense was like insane. They would
Yeah,
get
and
like
their special
2
teams, yeah.
touchdowns every week. Because it was defense and special teams. So Devin Hester was like this like dynamic return man, and he would return he literally
Everything
had
for
like
touchdown.
9 return
Yeah, it was
touchdowns
insane.
that year, which is like
No one's ever touched
unbelievable.
that,
Yeah, it's like, and he has the all-time record for return touchdowns.
So
but that was his rookie
somewhat
year.
of a good pick, I guess.
Like an
and
insanely weird
almost-
good pick. And I remember my top pick was Peyton Manning
Yeah.
and Marvin Harrison, who were
Oh,
like
the combo.
they dominated the league for years.
Yeah, that was a great year for them.
So that was really fun. And actually, I just talked to Julian about this recently. So I remember I made the playoffs that year as a 8 seed, and it was a 10-team league. So that's
Okay.
pretty embarrassing, all
Yeah.
things
You
considered.
got
I
in.
barely make it. And I ended up going all the way to the championship game. And this is really crazy. As like a kid, we had no idea what was going on really. But there's this thing called stat corrections, which are very rare. But on occasion, say there's like some weird thing where like the quarterback tries to hand the ball off to the running back, and then the ball is fumbled like during the exchange, and it's like you lose points for a fumble lost,
Yeah.
right? But who do you give the fumble to, the quarterback or the running back? So sometimes they'll give it to the wrong person, and then the next day or 2 days later, it's called a stat correction, where like,
Okay.
actually, like this person didn't lose the fumble. Here's 2 points, and this person, you did lose the fumble, minus 2 points. So it's very rare, like literally. And oftentimes these stat corrections will be like for defensive backs, and they won't even pertain
they
to
won't matter for
regular fantasy football. And so in the championship game, it was a tie game. It was me against our friend Julian. I don't know if I mentioned that. And it was literally a tie game, like in the championship game.
Wow.
And it just says first place my team, second place Julian's team. And I was like, wow, I won, awesome. But it is clearly tied, so I don't really know why I was given first. But that was it. Like I won. That's the last week of the season. League's over. We just forget about it. Julian looks like about a week later, and it says he won. And I was like, no, dude, I won. Remember, like you could see it on the thing. And he's like, no, look back. It says that I won. You lost a point. And I was like, I don't believe that. And I looked, and I was like, he's right.
You got corrected.
And I was like pissed. I was I was like a 7th grader. Like I was the 8th seed. I pulled out a huge win here.
It was a Cinderella story.
It was
taken away.
And I lost, and I was like, wow, this is insane. But I just never admitted it. I was just like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Weird, but looks like they messed up or something. And Julian's like, no, yeah, like I won. And this happened until like probably 8th grade, and then we all forgot about it. And then but I knew deep down that I lost. And then I texted Julian like about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, You beat me, like
you admitted it.
I literally did. I was just
12 years later.
Yeah, I literally said like I'm finally
him.
Ready to admit that like you beat me.
That's fair.
And he said, haha, thanks.
He said, what are you talking about?
No,
Who are you?
I knew he knew.
That's funny.
So that was the start for fantasy football.
That's pretty cool that the school like organized it, because I think that was when I was starting to get involved in it, because I think in middle school is where I really because I was a fan of sports in elementary school. Like I'd watch like our local teams. I think middle school is when I started to really get invested in the league and knowing a lot of the players, especially because I was playing sports at the time.
Right.
I never played football, but I think the fall it was football. In the winter I played basketball. I was really into basketball. I followed the Red Sox. In the spring, I think doing the fantasy thing is something that helps you learn more about the league and forces you to kind of keep up on it. Yeah.
I feel like
because I think it's very easy to, if you're a fan of a team, just to kind of stick in that bubble. If you just watch the game every week. And there are times where I'll know a lot about one team, but I won't know who's this.
So I feel like, I guess we kind of jumped the gun. I just assumed that everyone would know about fantasy football or just know how it works because it's so mainstream.
But a lot of people don't play.
We can get into the rules real quick.
So super quick, a bridge version. But basically,
go for it,
you draft a team. And it's however many people do the draft, and it's similar to a true NFL draft,
right, 10, 12 teams.
Yeah. And your team consists of typically a quarterback, a couple of running backs,
2 or 3 receivers,
a tight end.
Flex. You got
flex. You got to have a flex.
Which is a running back, wide receiver, or tight end.
So kind of just a flexible player. Yeah. I usually get someone who does some yoga in their off time.
Yeah, or people who just like to flex.
Yeah. I have a Gumby as my flex.
Oh, okay, cool. I have a professional weightlifter.
Wow,
yeah.
Diesel. He's probably a stiff man. I have, and then also a kicker and a defense / special team. So you don't draft individual players for that.
Right. But you can. There's many variations. Some leagues do it.
That's
basically
and that's
standard.
and then there's varying points based on touchdowns, yards, and every league does it a little different. So
yeah.
But I mean,
that's it.
High level, you start a team each week, you play against another team in your league, and you see who comes out on top.
Yep. And it's fun. It
is fun. I like
it's like a managing aspect kind of too.
And I like the camaraderie. Every week whoever I'm playing, it's oh, I got you this week.
Yeah. It's nice.
Fun. I like it when it's a big, because 10 to 12 people is big enough a group where it's doubtful you're good friends with all 10 to 12 of them.
Yeah, that's
so I think one thing I found in fantasy leagues is kind of it brings you get to meet some new people. You get to bring some new things together.
Definitely.
So
yeah, one funny story about that league that I was just remembered is that it basically was run by our gym teacher.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who was the commissioner?
He was the commissioner, and the gym teacher had a team, and then he also had this team called Freebie, which was just an automatic win to make you feel good about yourself. It's like a bye week, a free win.
That's funny.
But I remember he had on that Freebie team he had Tony Romo, and that was the year that Tony Romo broke out. He was a backup quarterback, so the Freebie team was filled with stock, all backups who would never do anything.
Yeah,
but he had Tony Romo, and everyone was trying to get Tony Romo, but the guy didn't have access to the account. It's just a freebie team.
Yeah.
So that was really funny.
Another funny thing that we did, I remember when we played one season, I think it was football. Might have been baseball, but we had a season where me, you, and maybe 3 other people wanted to do fantasy. I think it was football.
Yeah, that was fun.
And we were 5 people's way too short.
5 people, 5-person.
You need more. So we each had 2 teams.
Yeah.
But was it the second team?
It's my idea. I don't know why this was my idea.
I remember we called the second teams the zombie teams.
The zombies, yeah.
And did we not draft them?
We didn't draft.
We didn't get to choose. Didn't make any changes. It was a
very
very strange league.
It was really weird. I might have even restricted us from I think I said you can pick up a player if a player gets injured, or you can set your lineup to change on the bye weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was no trading, no dropping players for no reason.
And it was very strange because
they were zombies. They were the zombies.
You had no say in that, but oftentimes those teams would still win.
Right.
Because there is the luck
there's so much
right?
luck involved.
Andrew Luck was on my zombie team.
Yeah.
and he really carried
Still
us.
in high school.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. So that was a lot of fun.
That was like surprisingly fun because we all
It's just
had
different. Yeah.
we all made like separate email accounts just for our zombies.
That's
and
true,
like I forget. I think we might have even done that for 2 years.
We did, and I remember a fun fact is I had a second email. I had to make a second email to make it, and I used that email for like years after, just because my first email was I think just my IM name, you know, because RIP IM AIM.
Guitarman 3355.
That's the one, and you can't message me there anymore because I heard AOL took down that service.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense.
What was your name on?
Flexi Weasel.
Flexi Weasel.
Oh yeah, I was the flex player. Yeah, it was stupid.
That's
I made it in 3rd grade.
Wow, third grade's a little young for that.
Is it?
My parents wouldn't let me do it until like middle school, and I remember I was late.
Well, that's good because you were able to get a
party.
mature name like Guitar Man 3355.
Yeah, which was a great. I mean, there was 30. You know why I picked 3355?
Was that the right numbers? I was just trying.
It was, yeah.
I remember it.
Why? First off, Guitar Man. I'm pretty cool. I play the guitar.
Yeah.
33 was Larry Bird's number.
Okay.
5 was Kevin Garnett's number. 3 Guitar Man 335, if you could believe it, was taken.
Wait,
so I put another 5 on the end. I don't know. I wasn't. I guess that was like the one year I was a big basketball fan.
Yeah, that's like I've talked about this with my friends about screen names, and my friend Tim had T1M72736, which is like insane, just an insane person's screen name.
Yeah.
And it was like his birthday, and then it was somehow taken, I think, and he put 36, which was Jerome Bettis's number. It was like an insanely random football player.
If you're a listener right now and you have a good IM name,
send us your IM names.
I need a hobby.
Oh, another thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show is we were trying to do like a little campaign. It is snap us your favorite moment in your life without Alex, our co-host there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We're having that. It's pretty, maybe not the best we've ever had moment without Alex, but this is pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you guys have had like a really awesome moment in your life that Alex, our co-host, was not present for, please let us know.
So something fun that you did, maybe if you like went to a party and Alex was not
there.
there.
Yeah, and he just wasn't there, and it was like a really good time.
Yeah, or like a good meal without Alex.
Yeah, just make sure that he wasn't there, because we're really trying to compile like the best moments we've had without Alex here, and that's it. We're just looking to make a collection of them really and look through them. Probably won't ever show him.
Yeah, we'll probably. Yeah, I was gonna say we'll send it to him, but we'll make sure we delete it before he sees it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
because we wouldn't want him to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway,
so back to fantasy.
Wait. No, back to screen names for a
that's
sec.
True. Yeah, I did talk about screen names.
I just need to.
Do you have any other friends who had good names? I'm trying to think of some.
No.
I feel like a lot of my frequented people were just classic, like their name, like EXO, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
EXO. And I also remember about Stream.
I actually remember another good one, but go ahead.
I remember talking to people who I didn't know in middle school on IM and never in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it's like, I would just
That was kind of weird, yeah.
Hey, do you know what the homework is? Okay, what you doing? You know.
Yeah. Do you remember like the sounds too? You'd send a thing and it would literally play like a sound sometimes.
Yeah. One of my friends had this cool thing where you could send it and it was a link and it said click on this for a free coaster.
Oh, I remember you told me this.
And then you click on it and the disc, whatever it's called,
disc drive, the disc drive. CD-ROM drive would open.
And you probably got a bunch of viruses.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they definitely took control of your computer or something.
I also remember one time when I was in middle school, or maybe this was early high school even, getting IM'd by a random person who, like, probably a catfish of sorts.
Oh, geez.
Who was just like, hey, Chris, like, I know you from this, and this.
Join my fantasy league?
Yeah, and I joined.
That's
it was the zombie league. No, never found out who it was.
Yeah, all robots. But they knew your name?
Yeah.
That
is just someone from our school or something.
Maybe. That's creepy.
Very
Remember, yeah, don't want to get too sidetracked, but remember those like fake Facebook accounts too that would be back in the day?
Jeez.
Like we always thought that it was like the administration trying to like check on the kids. Like it was just like I remember like Greg Carlo was the one I remember the most. It was like this stock photo of like some guy named Greg Carlo, and he would like comment on stuff too, and everyone's like, "Who are you, man?"
That's
funny. Very creepy. Damn. But it's probably the same thing. They just all want to join the zombie fantasy league,
true,
probably the
They're
robot
looking
fantasy
for that
league.
Invite. They needed to send it. They need a second email. They made a second account.
So anyway, yes, let us know if you have a cool screen name you wanna shout out. I'll shout out my one friend Chris, not my one friend, a friend of mine, Chris in middle school. Not you, Chris. His screen name was Stealth Dino, and it was spelled STELTH, no A.
Wow.
So I just thought that was stupid,
That's
but
pretty
funny.
stealthy.
It's a good name, you know.
It's a great name.
But there's just like, and mine was Flexi Weasel. Like, what is the madness going on in these minds to make
of a middle schooler
Guitar Man 3355
yeah
and Flexi Weasel? Anyway, my name was Flexi Weasel because I was flexible and I was a weasel, I guess.
Yeah.
You were back then.
Yeah.
All right.
Now.
Back to fantasy sports. So I'm currently in a dynasty league. It's called, which is been really fun and really competitive. And the idea with this is that it's different from a standard league where it's called like a redraft league, which is the normal league, the work leagues, the average Joe leagues. No offense, because those are good too.
Yeah. So every year you pick your team.
You pick your team, and there's like something to say that's good about that because you don't.
A little bit more like independence to it.
It's just like a reset. It's like imagine the NFL, and it's like, here's your team this year, and then next year we're gonna redraft, and it's like, oh, I hope I get this really good player.
Which would be pretty crazy.
It would be insane.
Imagine if
that
that's
would be
how
insane.
real sports works.
Yeah,
wow.
That would be nuts. But it would be too much like moving on the athlete's part. It wouldn't
make
sense.
That's true. Yeah, they have families and stuff.
Yeah. So. But now I'm in a dynasty league, which is basically what it sounds like. It's dynasty. I get my players and I keep them for years on end. So this started in 2014 was the first year of my dynasty league. So you start with like a regular draft, but you have to keep in mind like, and the cool thing about this is it is like real sports. Like young players have more value. You have to keep in mind
that's
like.
True.
Like
if you were to pick Tom Brady this season, say this was the first year you picked Tom Brady, great quarterback, but he's 40 years old.
Exactly, and the difference with us that year was it was Peyton Manning after he got traded to the Broncos. He just had his like record-breaking first year with the Broncos, but he's old, and you got to think that how long is he going to last? So that was fun to kind of like it really puts like a different perspective on it. And another thing is that in real NFL and in fantasy football, trades are. Like they can happen. It's cool. You trade players between teams.
Talk about it.
But in standard leagues, as I've found, redraft leagues, trades don't happen that much because if you have like a player who's underperforming, right? They're not doing too well. You go to like week 6, they're still not doing too well, and people are giving you offers, and you're like, like now they're giving me a bad offer for this guy. This guy's so much better than that. I'm just gonna wait and see if he does well. And then if it's like week 10 and he's still not doing well, at that point, no one wants him, and you're not gonna trade.
But now you got to think of the upside next season, or you got to think
exactly.
Of like,
and in the dynasty league, you think about like for instance, like there's this running back David Johnson who's really good, and he was on my team. And he's like a really good young running back, and he got injured the first game of the season. He like dislocated his wrist or something. Sounds pretty bad.
That sounds painful.
But at the same time, it does sound bad, but also like it isn't like he didn't like tear up his knee in 5 places. Like he should be a good runner still, and he should be really good because he was amazing last year. And in standard leagues, it's looking like David Johnson might not come back and play. So at that point, no joke, he was like the first overall pick this year in a redraft league. And that's like a sunk cost. But in the dynasty league, I got David Johnson, and I traded David Johnson for 2 like young like upstart players. It's Todd Gurley and Corey Davis. So and I got a pick out of it too. And that's the other thing, you can trade like future picks. Because
which is not something you think about.
You don't
a one season.
It's just like the real NFL where you can. You can play with picks. You can play with future
get to wear
players.
That manager hat. Yeah,
it's really interesting. Like they're like. I don't know if I've got this far yet, but people are like throwing around like 2019 second round picks. It's like, whoa.
Do you guys put money down in this league?
Yeah, so it's 25.
Okay,
which is
and
I think a good amount.
That's one question with that I always think, because like I've done leagues when I was in the middle school or whatever where there was no money involved, and if my team was bad, I would sometimes just give up.
Check out, right?
But it's like it's hard to check out when you have something,
right.
Even if it's $20, like
right.
something on the line.
So another thing I really like about
if you win, you
get a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
depending on
remember, actually, you were there when I won. So the first year of my league, of that league, I won the league in like. So I was not quite the best team. It was like 12 teams, but only 4 make the playoffs. So it's pretty intense at the end.
And I will say the playoffs are always interesting in fantasy league too, because the season will usually go like 12 weeks or something like that, and then we'll get into
the fantasy season.
The fantasy season.
Right.
So the playoffs for your fantasy season are at the end of the regular season in the NFL.
And in the end of the regular season,
things can get a little wonky.
It's like there are sometimes teams that are really fighting for playoff position, but other times there's teams that have a couple good players, but they're like 4-8, and all of a sudden they're like. The end of the season is just like a regular day for them.
Yeah, or if the Pats are like 13-2, already clinched home field advantage,
Pats,
what are they going to do? They're not going to, like, Brady might not even play.
Right,
right.
So that's why week 17 is usually frowned upon to be played on in fantasy football
sports,
because
yeah.
it's like that's the last week of the season, and like it's
why-
very rare that like the Pats are so good that they've got the first seed locked up 2 weeks left to go. That's rare.
Yeah.
And that's still risky too. Like Belichick would not sit like Brady for the last 2 weeks of the season, and they get the first round bye. That's like a lot of time off. That's like,
he could go on
hey,
vacation. Or
Bill,
something.
I want to play. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
All things to keep in mind though.
But anyway, so then that one year, I made the championship game, and my team just stunk. Like my team, it was a 2-week championship, which is another thing that sometimes leagues try to do, where it's kind of like. Supposed to be like the best team will win because there's so much randomness in fantasy football.
It makes it a little bit less.
It makes it a little bit less random, which I think is good. There's a testament to that. Like the regular season is like whatever, and then matchups. It's like it's matchup dependent too, right? Like you can have the second highest score and still lose. There's luck involved, obviously, but at the end, you don't really want the winner to be like some lucky team, in my opinion. So I do like the 2-week championship, and
you'll usually bench luck going to the finals. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
Andrew Luck we're talking about. Yeah, Colts quarterback.
And in this situation, my team and the other team both severely underperformed, and it was down to he had Peyton Manning on Sunday night, and he was up by 3 points, and I had no one left.
Yeah.
And I won the league because this was the beginning of the end of Peyton Manning. It was he was good all season, and then it was against the Bengals, and Chris, we were watching it at my house.
Yeah, basically for Andrew to lose, all that had to happen was he just like couldn't throw an interception. He couldn't like
that's it.
Get sacked a bunch. Or
he had Peyton
fumble.
Manning and Demarius Thomas, who was on Peyton's team at the time. So it was like all he needed to do was like he's up by 3 points with 1 quarter to go, and Manning ends up throwing I think 3 interceptions, and he also got some points in the meantime, but 3 interceptions is -2 points for each, and the very last one it was like he was up by. He must have been 1 point. My opponent was up by 1 point, and Peyton Manning had like one last shot, and he just threw an interception. And I was like screaming, like, because that's a big deal.
That
like,
was super exciting.
I went from like $50 to like $200, just like that.
That's huge.
And that was like really awesome.
I remember you texting like the kid you were playing. And he's like damn.
he was really upset because the league I'm also in is like a lot of people are from like the same hometown, and I'm kind of like the outsider, not like. It just like
they usually don't talk to you.
They don't know me as well, so it was kind of like I feel like most people were rooting for like the other guy too, and it was just like wow, like I can't believe that just happened. That's but funny. Anyway, that guy ended up winning this past season, so I think it's neither here nor there at this point. But that was exciting. That was the biggest that was really fun for fantasy football.
Yeah. So with my team this season, I've had the funny thing, we had the draft. That's the one thing that's tough about these things too, is having picking a day for the draft. It's hard to find a time that works for.
So another thing that I'll say about this dynasty league is that after the startup draft, you have we only draft rookies, so it's a lot easier.
That's different.
And we only have 3 rounds, and we did this thing this year called the slow draft, which was people would make a pick, and then from when that pick was made, you just announce it in this Facebook message. You do a little video like you were saying earlier,
that's fine.
And then you have 24 hours to make the next pick.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it doesn't work for a big draft when you have 16 rounds, you know? When you're only drafting rookies, it worked, and it was really good because people got real lives, you know? Fantasy sports is not something that you can dedicate so much time to.
Yeah, and we were trying to find, because weekends don't really work because, someone's going to be gone for a weekend, and then it was find a weekday. So the draft
also,
that we
where
had,
you do it, in someone's basement, I think that's ideal.
Yeah.
But if you don't know everyone, then it's
and
weird.
it would have been fun. We had talked about maybe trying to get together, but it was just didn't really work out for anyone. The season was about to start.
And then online drafts are no fun.
Yeah, there's a little chat bubble, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
You can talk a little bit of trash.
But you can also accidentally pick the wrong person, which can't happen
sucks,
in person.
So we had I was in there for 4 rounds, and then I was doing something that night. I can't remember what.
Set to auto pick.
Yeah. So I just bailed, and I was just messaged in the group see you guys later.
Should have let me pick.
Yeah,
because I would say I am really into fantasy sports.
Yeah, it's definitely not a
football.
passion of mine, but I think I checked in the middle of the draft and made one a 7th round pick or something.
Good.
But I saw my team and I was very happy with how it turned out. A lot of good players. And so I had started the season. I had Aaron Rodgers, Odell Beckham.
I have Aaron Rodgers too.
Greg Olsen.
He's gone. I had him too.
all great players. All out. Julian Edelman. All out for the season at this point.
And you might have you didn't have Spencer Ware, right?
I did. I did.
You did?
I think I did.
But you had his backup.
Yeah.
Which is Kareem Hunt, who's doing really
Which
well.
Kareem Hunt. And so it's so funny how these leagues work because it's like Kareem Hunt wasn't really someone that was like on my radar too
for
much.
the listeners at home,
he's a rookie who's really having a
who just
breakout
is
season.
like, basically, yes.
Most rushing yards so far.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because it's, I don't know, at the beginning of the season, you think my team is great. I lose all my players. And just like, I don't know. And then something's just how it's been kind of like faring over time. I'm in a 11-team league, which is kind of like a weird number.
Weird.
It's just kind of like how it shaked out with like who ended up doing it. So we had like buys every now and then. But it's like this big league. So I only picked one quarterback because I figure Aaron Rodgers, he's usually tried
that's
to
good.
play
You should have one
16 games a year.
quarterback.
So he's gone. Now I have to pick up like the
streaming.
16th quarterback.
It's called streaming. If you're
that's
just like
basically
week
what I'm
to
doing,
week,
week
just
to
like
week,
please
yeah.
help me. Yeah,
So
that's what I'm at now
I
too.
pick up who did I pick up? Carson Palmer.
Oh yeah,
Last
gone.
week, gone right after 1 week.
Yeah,
he scored 2 points for me on the season. And now I got Andy Dalton. It's bad.
Yeah.
Bad
so that's
season.
the thing with fantasy football that I really like about it, but it's also like not for the faint of heart, I guess, or like the people who can't like stick with it. Is that the league is won on the waiver wire?
Exactly, which I will say. So basically, like after this game, so you have the opportunity to pick up teams,
right? You have
or
so
pick up players rather.
There's a lot of players in the NFL, and not all of them can be rostered. There's only a certain amount of bench spots you have on your fantasy team, and so every week there's like this. There's one or two people that are like breakout stars that are either rookies that no one thought about, or someone's running back gets injured, or receiver gets injured, and all of a sudden these young people who aren't normally good get opportunity. And that's really how you win the league, is like you just need to be very active on the waivers and pick up these people, because the team that you start the season with and the team that you end the season with every year, it just looks
different.
So insanely different. And my team right now in this dynasty league, this is abnormal because of the injuries I've had too. But I'm only playing one player that I had my starting lineup with.
Wow.
This week he's on bye, so so no one is the same, which is crazy. And I've made a bunch of trades,
too, I think.
but it's like that's insane. That's so much effort to like make sure I got
Which
the right
I will
players
say,
in
like,
all
I
the
don't
time.
I don't put in as much effort as a lot of people, I think.
And I'd say I put in too much effort.
Yeah.
Like I actually think,
yeah,
because I was like, I used to make fun of my dad for this too, but it's like a very classic thing for like fantasy football is like you set your lineup, you're done, put your computer away. And then like it's like 12:30 on Sunday, and you're just like, you like take a look, like, oh boy, and then you just shift the whole thing, and then all of a sudden you've benched one of your studs, like you bench like my dad did this once, he benched like Drew Brees for Tyrod Taylor because of the matchup, and it's like, like I benched Drew Brees and he threw 5 touchdowns because he's Drew Brees, So you have to be very like
I remember in the show,
aware, but not too
aware. The show The League, they refer to it as like some tinker stinker time when you're sitting on the toilet, just tinkering with your lineup.
That's gross, dude. That's gross.
That's pretty messed up. But I definitely do some tinkering, but it's because you really do need to. And I mean, at the like base root of it, it's like make sure everyone's playing. Which I don't know. Sometimes you can run into problems. I'll run into problems when it's a Thursday, and I'm like Thursday night. I forget that there's a game on Thursday.
Yeah,
so
that's a rookie move.
That's a
Chris.
very rookie move.
Yeah.
I'm like, shoot, I have 3 people playing already.
Yeah.
Like, so you really got to get ahead of it.
You gotta be aware.
And it doesn't take a ton of effort, but
right.
But it does.
It can't it doesn't take a ton of effort
to get by, but to be a good team,
it's a classic thing.
Exactly.
Easy to learn, hard to master.
True.
Impossible to master, really. It's all luck.
You never know.
A lot of luck.
Did you see so DraftKings is kind of, you guys have probably heard of it. It's like kind of a spin on this, but it's you pick a different team each week, right? And it's like it's like the auction. Thing.
DraftKings is it's like you get a salary and the good players are salaried a certain amount.
Did you see the thing about how they had like the perfect lineup thing?
What do you mean?
I think what it was if you pick the top player at each position for the first week, they had a promotion where you win $1 billion.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's absurd.
No, well, I mean that
it's
will
very
never
impossible.
Happen. That will never happen.
But
that's unbelievable.
It's kind of like picking a perfect March Madness bracket.
Realistically, that's almost as hard, I'd say.
Yeah. So
like
obviously no one
that's
came close.
insane. It's just so much like randomness,
Because I mean the first week it was like Kareem Hunt was the first. Like it's
Kareem
players
who
not necessarily will
immediately like 1% of people are still in that
exactly.
decided to like go against the entire grain and put like the 15th or 16th ranked running back as number 1.
Yeah.
So like that's immediately like 99%
and it's like kickers,
of people are gone.
you never know. Like even the best kicker might not get the opportunity to kick every game.
That is pretty funny though. $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like they're just like sure that they'll be okay.
That's a big risk.
Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous.
Damn. Crazy. Joel?
Yeah.
So fantasy sports. How do you feel about your team this year? You guys in a good position?
So I am I started 5-0. I had this nasty team. It was actually really funny.
I
This is like a stupid thing to do too, but I would literally pull up my computer and just look at my roster when I was 5-0 and be like, I'm just so good. Andrew, you've truly done it this year. You're a master. And now I've lost 3 in a row because Rogers going down really screwed me. Rogers went down, and then I've been just underperforming a little bit, but I'm trying to get back on track this week, but it was a bummer where everyone was finally giving me my credit. Oh wow, Andrew's team is pretty good this year. Another thing that I was going to mention is that with my fantasy league is we do weekly power rankings. That's the thing with the dynasty league is you're forced to really be involved in it because it's every year it's the same people.
You can't give up on the team either.
Oh, and the other thing, I forgot to mention this too, is that there's a last place punishment. I do. It's a really bad one. It's bad every year, so you just don't want that.
What are some of the things you guys have done?
So before it was specific to a person. So the first one was someone who was homeschooled got last place, and he had to take the SATs, which is pretty funny.
He wanted to.
He didn't go to take them, but he was given a practice test, and he live streamed the whole thing.
That's hilarious.
Which was really funny.
How did he do?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure how he did.
That's really funny.
But that's confidential.
That would be a good idea. I think we might have talked about this at some point. Me, you, and Alex taking the SAT or some sort of.
I would love to do that.
Or just an AP test.
I'd love to do that. Alex would be not into it at all.
Yeah, he would hate it. Yeah, well, maybe that could go with our best times had without Alex.
Right. Yeah, that'd be
you taking the
ton
SAT.
of fun.
The funny thing about that is it's also standardized. I doubt we could get into the same room, and it's
that's true.
Imagine trying to explain that being 23 years old and taking the SAT.
That would be
with
so funny.
we already have college degrees.
We just need to be wearing our Sport Your Local podcast shirts.
Maybe it's not the SAT. Maybe we take the bar exam. See if we can become lawyers or
the ACT.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's the same
no one
thing.
takes that.
Yeah. So that was one, and then another one was one guy had to put up flyers for being a babysitter, babysitting courses. I'm not sure if he actually did that or if we just said it was okay if he registered online and took a really long test or something. I forget. And then another one was one guy had to get frosted tips.
I do remember.
Which was kind of funny. We expected it
kind of pulled him off.
Our boy Guy Fieri's frosted tips. But yeah, it actually looked okay.
Yeah.
It was objectively weird coming from him
you
too.
Could tell it was frosted.
You're okay, this guy, what's going
Not
on?
Your typical frosted
but one time I
tips,
saw we were at a big day drink thing and someone was wearing a dress with a cardboard signs fantasy football loser, which is kind of cool.
Funny.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be part of that. But another thing, which this might be a hot take, but I actually think it's very easy to not get last place. I think if you put
I can get into that a little bit
really,
after this.
I think if you put in minimal effort, you will not get last place.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would say.
My team this season started off. First week, I had a tough go, and this was partially on me. I played Odell Beckham Jr., who was announced right before the game.
Yeah, you got to play him. Start your studs.
So I lost partially because of that. And the second week, blew out the opposition. I scored I think it was close to the most points anyone scored this season in a week. Since then, just
you have one
flat. One win, 1-6. Oh, it's been a
okay,
tough year.
but do you have a losers bracket? Because you got to have a losers bracket.
A losers bracket
for the
in
playoffs.
I'm not sure. I think we might.
Because that's what I mean.
I know 8 teams make the playoffs, so I think it's we have. There's not much losers in
that
this
sucks.
team league.
Because losing, getting last place based on record would be kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
but I guess that is how the real NFL works.
Maybe I'll have some sort of self-enforced punishment if I do lose, just to motivate me to keep playing this season.
Just take the SATs by yourself.
Yeah, I'll just frost my tips beforehand.
All right, so that's good. Overall, I really do like the Dynasty League aspect.
Yeah, I think
it is a more serious commitment than a regular office thing.
And I'd say
it's fun.
I think a good thing about fantasy sports that going forward, I mean, as we start to get older, some of our friends will start to move away and have families and stuff. I think it's a fun, it brings people together.
Yeah.
Like the league I'm in now is an office league, so it's that's a fun kind of camaraderie thing. But I think doing one with friends who you don't see all the time, that's a lot of fun too, because you kind of I don't know, it forces you to talk.
Oh yeah. Another thing, just to alienate some of our listeners here, if you're in more than 2 leagues, you are an insane person. Crazy. Can't do that. You'd have to be rooting for or against yourself. You'd have to put in way too much effort.
I think 2 teams
two
is fine.
2 is even a lot.
It's a lot of work
I was in
to
2
be.
for most years.
Yeah.
And now I'm just in 1.
Yeah.
But putting full effort into 2 teams is
probably impossible.
Too much time.
Yeah.
Too much time. Honestly, the amount of effort I've put in is not worth the $200 that I've won in 3 years.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
actually, but I actually been I got first place, and then I got third place and third place. So I've actually never. Third place makes back their entry fee money.
Okay,
so I've never paid.
Yeah, I wonder like how much more invested I'd be because I have a friend who's in a league where I think it's like $100 or $200 buy-in. It's like pretty steep.
Yeah, that is serious.
So he has, he's a little bit more invested in it. Because the winning is you get like
but like that's true. But like I guess this is probably gonna be hypocritical because I am like a gambler at heart. But knowing how much luck fantasy football is, like that is just so much money. Like it's different. I
don't know where my cap is.
If I could bet, like, if it was like a top half, bet $100, top half gets double, I would do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying. That is like an insane idea for a league as well. But I'm not like risking that much to win just first place.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with ratings. We're gonna do what's on your mind, and we are going to do a guess what's on your mind with our friend and Chris's roommate Bryan. But
he's just been lurking in the room this whole time.
Yeah. We did not think he would be, applicable to be a guest host.
Not much of a fantasy sports person, but
he tends to run his mouth.
Yeah, true. He's a talker.
He's got a sailor's mouth.
Yeah. So we're gonna get the beeps ready, Todd.
Yeah. All right. So let's do ratings.
Sure.
Chris. Should be quicker without Alex's long-winded.
Yeah.
And interruptions.
Yeah, one of my favorite things without Alex is ratings.
That's
I always love doing ratings without Alex.
Yeah, me too.
So I can rate it. So fantasy sports, I think it's fun. I think at the root of it, it's a lot of fun. It's fun like manning a team. It's fun like having a rooting stake in things that you wouldn't typically. Like watching like a random like teams in like another conference that I wouldn't care about and like actually being like, oh, but my running back's on this team. Like I want to see if they do well.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. And it like, helps you keep up on the sport. It helps you have fun.
It helps you like be like not I don't want to say accepted, but you're able to talk more about the NFL
exactly
because of that.
Because it's fun to come in on Monday and like the first thing we're talking about
right.
I mean usually we're talking sports anyway because it's like without it being it's just a football game. If the Pats won, we'll talk about that. Right. But it's fun to like do that.
Definitely.
So that's good. One thing I want to get into that I was thinking is this season I kind of decided I was going to be a big basketball fan. Celtics
really?
Specifically. So I've been watching all the Celtics games.
Seriously?
Because I find it's
it's
my favorite sport to watch.
Okay.
And I never follow until playoffs. So this year I'm kind of like, all right, I want to have a stake in it. I wish I did a fantasy basketball team. That would be fun because that's like
interesting.
It's not as intense as baseball. I feel like it's the same players. You know what I mean? So it's like
that's interesting. I've never like fantasy. I mean, we did not touch on other sports at all. I think fantasy basketball. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I just feel like having like LeBron or Curry is like insane, or Harden is just like ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
it probably comes down to all those role players. Like who's gonna? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
So something I might look into next year, as maybe we'll start a league.
Yeah.
And I think as I get older, it's something it's a hobby. It's definitely a yay because it's something I want to keep doing. Mm-hmm. Is it like a hobby I'm passionate about? Not really. As I said, my team sucks this year, and I'm not really like spending as much time fixing it as I should. I'll do it with a 6.5 yay.
Okay.
On fantasy sports.
Yeah, I like that rating, Chris. I don't know. I don't know exactly where I'm gonna fall for number wise, but I was actually thinking I might go lower than I was initially thinking because
it is one of your major hobbies.
Right.
We'll start with that. Well, I mean, it's something you spend.
I do spend a lot of time doing
during the season,
but I don't know if I feel like good about that.
Yeah.
I love football. I love watching football.
Yeah.
I could watch football all day without fantasy football and be like totally fine with it. But at the same time, like you said, the managing aspect is really cool, and like having I don't know in the dynasty aspect, like I only have a couple players now. It's Allen Robinson, who's out for the year unfortunately, and Aaron Rodgers are the only players that are from my original team back in 2014 that have made it without being traded or just sucking.
Yeah,
and I like love those guys. Like they've been on my team for 4 straight years. Like they've seen it all. Like they've been through the championship. They've been through the highs and lows. I like that a lot. So that aspect like of having these same players has made me like fans of these players, which is kind of weird, but I like that aspect of it.
Imagine if you met Aaron Rodgers, do you think you'd say like, hey man, you've been in my dynasty league for 4 years?
Aaron Rodgers, no, because he's like he's on another level.
That's true, yeah.
But like another player like Allen Robinson, I'd probably do that.
Yeah.
But overall, I do like the camaraderie aspect. Like, for instance, like I said, at the beginning of the league, I was just kind of like this other guy who went to college with, a friend of this hometown, basically. Mm-hmm. And now, like, I get texts like pretty frequently from a couple of the managers. One of them I was friends with in college as well, who I don't see super often. But it's like, like we're like kind of like he's the guy I beat in the championship that
Yeah.
year. We're kind of like big rivals because we're the ones who
Two of the
probably
better
put the
teams.
most effort into it. And that's fun to like get messages
Definitely.
like, oh wow, like, I think you really won that trade, or something like that. Oh, did you see this week? Blah blah blah. And even there's a couple other people who have been like, it's kind of weird. It's actually the time I use Facebook Messenger the most frequently is talking to like league mates because I
Yeah.
don't have their numbers.
That's
but I'll just be like, hey, what do you think about you looking to move this player? Blah blah blah.
That's true.
And that's been kind of nice. I don't know. It's just like I feel like when I see these players like once a year for like the draft now, it'll be like, oh, what's up, dude? Like
Yeah.
instead of just like I'm Andrew.
Yeah.
Hi.
Here for the draft.
I just won. That was the first year like I won and like came in for the draft and I like no one knew who I was.
So
And it's like I'm
I'm
the winner.
one.
Hi.
Check me out.
But anyway, so overall, I think it's good, but there's something about it that I don't want to spend that much time doing. So I'm actually going to go. I don't want to regret it, I guess. I'll do it as well. 6.5. Yay.
Nice. Solid rating.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's not something that I want to spend all my time doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Though I do anyway.
It is a fantasy.
Yeah, it's just my fantasy.
Is it real life or is it just fantasy?
Probably just fantasy.
Yeah,
I think
caught in
based
a
on the
landslide.
name.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
To escape from what reality though?
Yeah. Open your eyes.
Okay.
Look at this guy's.
All right. Okay. What's on your mind? All right. So our next section of the show is called "What is on Your Mind." We need to go get our friend.
Yeah. Should I go grab him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He isn't actually in the room. He's downstairs chilling. I think he was playing Guitar Hero.
He was playing Guitar Hero.
I'm gonna go grab him. Do you think you could
Yeah.
cue up the "What's on Your Mind" song, maybe?
Yeah. So we'll be back in a minute.
I never had a place to call my own. I never had a home. Ain't nobody calling my phone. Where you been? Where you at? What's on your mind? They say every life pressure.
Wow, that was awesome. That was a theme song from.
Was that Logic?
I think it was. Yeah,
Fan
Fan
of
of
the
the
Show,
Show.
Logic, yeah.
And Rubik's Cube Solver.
Yeah.
Logic.
He finally
So-
got one on. I feel like he's emailed us a few times at this point. But this,
Yeah.
this song was probably his
I
best
know.
one.
Thanks for that, Logic. Obviously, you needed to say what's on your mind, obviously, or apply to our topic. So
Yeah.
none of his other songs submissions worked for that.
Yeah,
but
that one was pretty
really
good.
glad you could throw that one in. So thanks to Fan of the Show, Logic, for that.
Yeah, and send in your theme songs or things that you have on your mind to ineedhobbypod@gmail.com.
That's right. So this is What's on Your Mind, where we talk about what is on our mind.
And today we grabbed
Sweet.
a guest. We got
Yes.
Bryan.
Guest of the
Bryan
show,
in house.
Bryan.
How's it going?
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, this is an honor.
All right.
You've been itching to get on
This
the
is
show.
exciting.
Right?
This is
Yeah.
exciting. If anyone is listening from our high school, they're probably, they're geeking out over there. Wow.
Yep,
Andrew, Chris, and
Birmingham
Bryan, ABC, back at it
Seriously, the old ABC.
for What's on Your Mind.
I've been a long time looker.
Yeah. First time. What's on your minder?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's true. One time you were in the room when we recorded, right?
Yep, I didn't say a word though. I was just listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll. It's a funny thing to have. Like, oh, you want to hang out? We will be recording a podcast during the middle of it.
Yeah. Luckily, you're used to it by now.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So this is What's on Your Mind. Once again, say something that's on your mind. Bryan, usually we have the guest go first. Are you aware?
I was
Yeah.
not aware of this, but
Are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right.
All right.
What's on your mind, Bryan?
So I actually do have something on my mind.
That's good.
Yep. So I guess this applies really anywhere. If you're at, it could be high school, college, it could be, at your job in the working world.
Okay.
This
Really
is the
anywhere.
9 to 5 we call it.
Yeah, you could say the 9 to 5.
Okay.
It could even be on the street.
Okay.
So let's say you're walking down, it could be a street, a hallway, and you see someone coming. It could be a coworker, but so you're not good friends with them
Oh,
or
no,
good
I think I know where this is
acquaintances,
going.
but you know them. You're at a friendly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So you walk by, and you start off by saying hey or hi, and they say how's it going?
Yeah.
Do you respond?
That's good.
Like-
I like this.
You're like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And obviously every time it's like I'm good. Or if you say hey and they say how's it going? Do
Are you
just keep
supposed to
walking?
respond?
Yeah, are you supposed to respond or not? Or vice versa if they do that to you.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Personally, continue.
all right,
You got
so
anything else?
I feel like
Does this happen to you often?
it happens to me a lot. This is why
Okay.
I bring it up, and especially I've been at my job for just over a year now. This happens to me all the time, walking about the hallway, where I'm like, hey, and they're like, hey, how's it going? I used to always say, good, how are you? But I realize every single time it's the same exact thing. So I just wanted to skip that. So now,
Because it's such a quick time. You have
It's
2
such a quick
seconds to have
time.
this whole
yeah,
interaction.
and no one stops to
Right.
continue the conversation.
Right. And sometimes people are just running. Like they're running by you, and you're like, "Good,
Yeah.
how are you?" And then they're already gone
Off
at
to a
that
meeting.
point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
So then I kind of switched to if I'm like, hey, and they're like, how's it going? I just kind of keep walking,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's it. But sometimes I feel kind of awkward about it. So I guess it depends on the person as well.
And also like where you're walking to. Do you have time to stop for a sec? You know, it's
Yeah, sometimes
of
I do,
factors.
sometimes I
Yeah,
don't.
I'd say it depends on the person because if it's
Yeah.
like someone, if it's like on the street, I probably would stop because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I haven't seen this person in a while. If
Yeah.
it's like a coworker or something,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, okay, what's up, you know?
Right.
But if it's someone that I see every day or like every other day, I probably wouldn't stop. But that's still like, there's still the heart of the question here, which is what are you going to do?
I think
Yeah.
I have two thoughts on this.
Okay.
One
Sure.
thought that I have is because I run into this a lot where it's a long hallway and it's like my question is when do you start the interaction? So if you're like not in earshot, do you make eye contact?
I'm so
when you
bad
do?
at this.
But
I'm
I
always like
hate that.
freaking nodding and stuff.
my
Like,
new- my
you
new
see the
move-
guy, you're like nodding.
My
and
new
then you
move has
wait.
been the like shoot the like hey
That
like,
is
shoot,
so
say,
weird.
what's up like
That's
basically
a classic Chris move.
basically
Shoot the
acknowledge
gun.
that they're there
Yeah.
as far away as possible. And
That
then,
is- that's
and then
so
we have
insane.
plenty of time to laugh. Oh, that was look at Chris. He knows I'm here. And then by the time
I wish Alex was here to grill you about that.
another thing I've liked to do recently is because you can't always have the conversation, but I think
Nope.
it's good to say the person's name. That's something I try to do.
When?
I do like that.
From
Just,
from a distance?
instead of just hey, oh hey Andrew, hey Brian. Especially if you
I
know
like
them
that too.
if you know them just all right, I think it can help kind of like
Yeah.
start a a little rapport between you. A little
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
honestly, as stupid as that sounds, I agree with you
it's
on
just
that.
a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now there's repeat offenders. There's people that I know every time, like clockwork, they'll say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So I know it's okay to not
Yeah.
do a response with that.
Uh-huh.
But I guess if it was someone that I didn't see that often, they said, hey, how's it going? I might do the response a little differently.
I also had this guy in college who we always said what's up to, but we couldn't figure out when we met, but we never talked about it. And then
That would only happen to you.
after graduation, I was at a party or at a bar or something, and he
Yeah.
came up to me and he goes, he was just like, how do I know you? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if you told that story on
I
the
think
podcast
I
once.
might have. Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
met when you were just drunk.
Yeah, I think it
We're
was
still in
like
the
a
college
friend of a
episode.
friend or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Get
I
that
think
stuff
I
right.
think
I want to hear the final
personally,
verdicts.
I in this situation normally I would actually just say good and
Mm-hmm.
not say good. How are you?
Yeah.
Which
Really?
maybe is weirder, but
That is an
it's
option
just
too.
like I don't really have anything. Like like you're saying, I know how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like leave them hanging. But at the same time, I feel like that is that's normal too. Be like, oh, what's up, and then
Yeah.
or how's it going?
And I
But you
think
don't need to respond.
This is a serious question because I remember an old friend from college, Tank. I think you guys met. His name, he's from China, and he took the American name Tank because I don't know, he likes tanks.
He was
Yeah.
also large.
large, big guy,
large
yeah,
individual.
big
Yeah.
like the tank, he would
Yeah.
say. But he made a status one time like, "How do you respond to what's up?" And I like people were
he
commenting.
made a Facebook
Yeah,
status.
it just had a like little joke.
that's
Like
really
I don't know
funny.
what to say, and
Yep.
I was like, "You could just say what's up," and he's like, "But that doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It doesn't."
Just don't say the sky.
Yeah,
I hate people do that.
don't
Yeah,
look up.
We're beyond that at this
Yeah.
point.
Uh.
All right. Yeah. So my verdict, Brian, is I think keep going is fine. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, keep doing you.
I like
That's
it.
not what I mean.
Oh, keep walking. Actually, you have to do that.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think you'll do? Does this clear anything up?
Yeah. I guess I was looking for clarification to see if
I
you
think
guys
it's okay.
thought
I think
that
it's okay.
That's
that's
good.
a somewhat normal thing. But
All right. Thanks, Brian. So stick around to
Yeah, you
give
can
us
hear what we
advice
have
here.
on our mind.
Chris,
Yep.
what is on your mind?
Here's what's on my mind. So the three of us last night we went out to a bar.
Yeah.
We went to a couple of bars. It was a
Yep.
fun night.
It was fun.
night
Okay.
with the boys.
Sure.
The first bar we went to, I noticed had some funny named drinks.
Uh-huh.
Just cocktails with certain names that I'd never seen before.
Mhm.
Here's my question.
Yep.
How easy do you think it is to start to create your own drink
And make it like
and
a
make
thing.
it a thing?
That is really funny.
because I ordered a Moscow Mule. That's a pretty well-known drink
Yeah.
at this
That
point.
I don't think we can get to
But
the Moscow Mule level.
Not
but
yeah, but I mean, someone had to originally call it someone had to
Yeah,
go
I
up to a bar and
guess.
say like, this is a Moscow Mule.
Right.
Could I just say like, can I have a
Hobby Pod
hobby,
Deluxe
a hobby pod deluxe?
sounds like a freaking Happy Meal.
Because I mean, if I go to the same bar 3 times and order a hobby pod deluxe, they'll be like, by then if it's the same guy, they'll
Yeah.
catch on.
They'll
Right.
know.
If I have my friends order a hobby pod deluxe,
Mm-hmm.
if I start to spread a little bit bar to bar, I'm just wondering, do you think?
Oh, you haven't heard of the Hobby Pod Deluxe?
And I think you just need you need one friend who's a bartender to make it a thing at one place.
Maybe.
Then they'll go somewhere else.
Right,
I'm
it's like
just curious, how
It's
did-
just that's interesting. It's like you need the marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's like kind of like a scam, but if it's like
Yeah.
you have like your friend who's the bartender and then you're talking to some random person you just met or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go to the bar and you're like, "Hi, could I have a Hobby Pod Deluxe?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "What is that?" And like, oh, you haven't heard this bar serves like this really cool drink, and the bartender's obviously in on it, doesn't question you at all.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the Hobby Pod Deluxe is good.
Yeah. Because I think that could be a fun
It's
experiment.
It's just I need a hoppy and ice cubes.
Yeah, it's gross. Yeah, I don't know. A fun little social experiment. Maybe I'll give it a try at our local bar.
Yeah, there's no real answer to the question. It's just an interesting idea.
Yeah,
How far can we go?
And
with
how
this?
when did Moscow Mule get invented? I feel like probably in like
that
the
sounds
1700s.
like a Nathan for you thing. You know, Nathan for you
I
talking
love
about
that.
Sounds like Nathan for you can just make it up and make it a big thing. Yeah.
Well, I feel like the thing is there are already a lot of different drink combinations that were already created that have names.
That's
so how do you
true.
know if it's one that's already created?
Yeah, and
we only know a handful that are popular.
Yeah, because I could think of something like gin and Coca-Cola. Like I've never really seen that, but I'm sure it has a name.
Yeah, we could just look it up.
Yeah, it's probably a hobby pod.
Yeah,
at gmail.com.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a thought.
Before I get to my what's on your mind, I want to give another shout out to my brother. Well, not necessarily to him, but he just texted me and said some girl asked me about the pod.
Wow.
Because he's wearing Bryan. He's wearing our support your local podcast shirt at his event thing.
I gotta get myself one of those.
Yeah, you better, dude. You better not leaving the room till we order. But that's pretty cool. So
nice.
Wear your shirts. Maybe you'll get questions.
Some good advertising.
All right. Anyway, so here's what's on my mind. Random thing, but okay. So you know how I feel like Obama, right? Obama, former president.
Yep.
Sometimes when there's articles on Obama or something, they have this classic photo of him looking kind of sad, you know what I mean, or his hand in his head, not grumpy, but
just hard at work,
exhausted,
worn out by America.
That was the test to see, because I feel like everyone's got this picture in their head right now, oh, I know what you mean, that.
Just you could see his hair draying.
Yeah, that classic stock photo that they use in or but it's not one photo. It's as if they have many photos of Obama looking really stressed out or exhausted.
Yep.
The one that they have with Trump, which I think is so weird, is this one where he looks like he's about to say something that starts with F, and he's got his finger in the air. You know that? And it's why is this? Where did this come from? It's there's so many pictures. Literally, he's about to say you're fired or something. With his
probably live
freaking face. And I feel like everyone right now is I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've run this by my roommates, because I was like, does anyone know what I'm talking about? And everyone's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So weird. What? Why did that become the
the picture?
The picture of the Obama one is him stressed out, exhausted, and the Trump one is he's a clown. Honestly, it's just weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's probably the media, they're portraying me like a clown. Huh?
I don't know.
Well, is the
just
Obama
confused.
picture you're talking about? Is that the Thanks Obama picture? Is that something?
Are you thinking of Hope or whatever?
Yeah, well,
the classic.
Just Thanks Obama is a meme. Too.
I don't think
I think that's something different. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
But no, you're thinking. Are you thinking of that one that was really popular in his 2012 campaign, or maybe his 2008 campaign, where the red and the blue?
That's something different. But
that's something different too.
Okay, never mind. But whatever. Anyway, what I'm saying is that what's with this picture? Do you guys think that it is weird that people? And I feel like the George Bush one is him looking confused. It's the same thing. It's a weirdly timed photo of him
because I'm sure there's the same picture of Obama doing the F thing.
I'm sure he does that all the time.
I'm sure Trump has looked like he's working at some point.
I feel like there's this one for Bill Clinton too. After the Monica Lewinsky thing, he has that sneaky sly face.
Still creepy Bill.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah. It's
he looks like he's getting away with something.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
But he's being kind of coy about it.
A little smirk.
Yeah. That's weird. So all the presidents have these things.
Yeah, they're all defined. Very strange.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know where they come from
or who decides.
Who? Yeah, it's not for us to say.
It's the dang media.
So I guess we're okay with
the internet. It's probably Tumblr.
probably Tumblr.
Tumblr decides America.
All right. So on that note, Chris, thankfully you are still here. If you were not here, when Alex and I had the bonus episode, I'm pretty sure we had no plugs.
Ended in shambles. But I can throw some plugs. So if you like what you're listening to,
pretend you're talking to Bryan, because he'd love to hear
Bryan,
this. Yeah,
here's a little information. Usually we have a third person here, Alex. If you like this episode, unfortunately, we'll have Alex back probably in the next one. He'll be back from wherever he is, North Carolina, I think. And we will do more episodes, and they'll all be found on ineedahobbypod.com. There you can find our episodes.
Or iTunes.
Or
Google Play, probably.
Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, where I Need a Hobby Pod.
Yep. Remember to Snapchat us or email us. What's on your minds? Any cool screen names that you had, or your favorite moment without Alex?
Yeah,
is
don't
really
forget
what
that one. We're trying to get a hashtag trending. It's hashtag no Alex. It's very simple.
Yeah,
I like
probably already made.
No Alex. And hey, buy a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Where can I get one of these shirts at?
Hey.
Oh, hey. You can find them on the shop tab on our website, ineedahobbypod.com.
And please rate and review this episode. It goes a long way in helping grow the show.
Yeah, it looks like the shirts are really working as well. So
yeah, we sold
if you can't be
billions.
bothered to write a review,
Yeah.
how about you just buy a shirt?
It's easier. Yeah, just give us money, give us cash.
That's fine too. All right, cool. See you-
Brian, do you want to say? Alex
Oh,
usually
yeah.
ends it. Do you want to say? I'm gonna whisper it to you, and then you'll say it into the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See you next week.
Thanks.